Hey, Peyton, nice to see you again. And to our audience, welcome to AIDEAS Podcast. This time with a quote by Naval Ravikant, which we will explore together. On becoming a spellcaster. For decades, he says, programmers were the wizards who could speak to machines in arcane languages. Now you can just talk in any language to a machine that will actually listen and build what you describe. The barrier between ideas and product has essentially collapsed. Peyton, you as a business owner, how can you relate to that?
Yeah, I feel like I don't deserve to be a machine wizard, but yet it's actually gotten to the place where I can be. It's really exciting, actually, to play around with not just the more normal versions of AI that can whip up a really good playbook for anything, or a good strategy, or a good output, or a checklist, or whatever, but actually to build tools, to build custom softwares now that are deployed just perfectly tailored to my own business. I built for our sales team a renderings app that they can use in home that's like very branded, very nice. And they take a picture and it shows sort of a before after to visualize the natural light in your home and your real basement or whatever. And it was like, I don't know, it took me half a day, something like that. And I still am working through a couple of last details, but it's something that would have been a, I don't know, $20,000 project and would have had to go back and forth with the developer for weeks and all this stuff. And now you can just make it. And it's it's easier than it deserves to be. It's easier than I deserve to have it, to have these things and these custom softwares. How do you think about this, the wizardry of it all? It kind of does have this sense that it feels like you kind of have a magic wand with these tools. I'm talking in the last 2 months is really when it started to feel that way to me.
Mhm.
Does it feel like that to you? Where is it? How is it going to feel in 6 months? What's the trajectory?
Well, the trajectory is upwards and it's becoming better and better. And for me, it feels the same. Like since December, the tools have evolved to a point where you now only need to have clarity of mind of the vision you want to uh, see fulfilled in your life as a software product, for example, to help your business. It's crazy because Naval describes it correctly. This is now available to anyone who can talk any language. And most people haven't even tried uh, the tools yet and haven't even got a taste of the capabilities of it yet. So I saw like the founder of the company I worked for take this tool in hand, and it's an engineer I have a tremendous amount of respect for. And now with this tool, he's like vibing and engineering stuff to tinker around even more, and it's so inspiring to see people take on these tools and build what they can imagine with their curiosity. And as you tell me about your journey with these tools and how you apply and relate to that, I thought, okay, man, I stumbled upon an article called The Renaissance Engineer, and I thought, maybe Peyton is a Renaissance engineer because it doesn't require a traditional education, studying computer science or engineering anymore. It requires clarity of mind. We got some core qualities of that Renaissance engineer. It's curiosity, systems thinking, precise communication, and ownership, and a polymorphic kind of personality. How would you relate to your ability to apply your curiosity in the system you're working?
Yeah, it feels like being given a crazy gift to have this because like I've had several of these traits cooking, but it never could have cashed them in until for this type of stuff until the technology got to the point where it's at now. There was this unbridgeable gap between a vision and an actual outcome. speaking specifically of software, speaking of stuff that requires code, there was this unbridgeable gap. I never, ever, ever was going to learn how to program in these programming languages. It always seemed so tedious, so uninteresting. Like I just, no matter what was on the other side, I couldn't imagine myself getting through troubleshooting, programming, and debugging and writing these lines and this special syntax. And it was totally antithetical to my temperament. But now that I can just skip to the other side of all of that, it totally can use my strengths and the things that I've developed and the tastes that I've developed for years running my business and seeing why systems break, seeing what makes systems work, having more refined taste in what actually a good output looks like, a good solution looks like, what actually accomplishes the goal, what is the big picture, what is the priority. And it feels like an incredible and undeserved gift to be able to use these tools now. And it feels like the possibilities are endless, and also the curiosity element of it is more necessary than it may at first appear, because tinkering with them, having curiosity and having this source of renewable energy with these tools, I sense is the key to loving to do it, doing more, and the doing more, getting better, deploying it in the real world as a method of actually increasing practical skills, not watching a YouTube video about it, not reading a book about it, not even having a conversation to learn about it too much, or I guess or getting lost stuck there, but
Mm,
actually trying to learn by doing and exploring and seeing what breaks and seeing what works and seeing the feeling out the boundaries of these technologies and what they're useful for and what they're not yet good at, and how to play to its strengths and use the resource that you have to solve the problems that you have. This is the sort of playing field. So it's very exciting, to be honest, to be able to vibe code these things. And the I think the ownership ties into the T-shape, and it ties into the curiosity, and it ties into the precise communication. I sense that if I was vibe coding, like, just side projects that I wasn't that interested in a weekend, or trying to make a website that could get its first 500 in ARR and sell it off to somebody, and I didn't have years of skin in the game and trying to build this thing and feeling how there were certain problems that I really wanted to solve but was unable to solve for a long time, whatever. Now that the solution clicks into place, it feels like there's infinite excitement and energy behind it within my system naturally arising that makes me want to go into it and explore it more and feel this out and have this conversation and test drive it here and then go back and blah blah blah. It takes advantage of my lateral thinking and just connecting the dots, thinking broadly and making these weird connections. And certainly also of just this having been swimming in these waters in my industry for 4 or 5 years now. So it's crazy exciting to be able to be a Renaissance developer, vibe coder guy. And I'm very early on in this. I've only been playing around with these things for a few weeks. And the it does have the feeling of having a magic wand placed in my hand for the first time.
mhm.
And so it's this infinitely exciting new realm of possibility that I never expected. Like a year ago, I never sat there and said, if only I never had to code and I could just skip past that and just manifest a vision out of nothing in an afternoon and solve a lot of problems in an automated way that didn't require asking people to change how they did stuff, or that could skip past a lot of the things that make systems difficult to implement with teams. I never had the desire. I never knew to ask for it. I never thought this would be on the menu, and all of a sudden it's here as of the last 2 months. And so the world feels like my oyster. And
Mhm.
I'm also excited to teach. There's 2, maybe 3 leaders on my team that are digital native, extremely intelligent, that have many of these characteristics too. And so my next frontier is actually to bring them along and be like, "Hey, try to make some refinements on this tool." And then, "Okay, hey, try to build a tool about that." And so I'm excited to see if I think I have a suspicion that I have a couple dormant Renaissance developers on my on my team that might actually take to this stuff really well as well. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts about this moment in time? It really is a paradigm shift. in my view, and software in general has been a huge thing in the last 30 years, and now it can you can just manifest it from nothing. What is
Mhm.
th what is this point in time that we are at where you can magic wand a software from nothing as a real human, and it actually works?
We are at the right point in time to start to use these tools as a non-developer, previously a non-engineer. With a little guidance and with the right approaches, and there are a few tricks and tips you definitely want to know
Yeah.
before you waste a lot of time, we can manifest things out of thin air, which really help us in our businesses to increase transparency and gain insights much faster and adapt according to our goals. And truly, technology is the closest thing we can get to magic, and it feels like magic because I'm manifesting all day long and cannot stop manifesting until I go to bed and sleep because we now have this tool at hand where we can let our curiosity roam, but also apply intelligence to the bottlenecks we face within our capability limits. So we can constantly push our frontiers that we previously could not push. We now can cut through the chase and get to the real stuff. And that is tremendously exciting. This also points to what are the core qualities of the Renaissance engineer? It's about clarity of communication and curiosity. I would say these two things become more and more important. As an engineer, you learned to think in systems. It is still the most relevant thing because what you do is you transform one piece of data or structured data into another form of structured data that serves the consequent input into another system. You dissect, you divide and conquer, you put the pieces together anew, you try to modularize your approach so that you can maintain the things, you maintain a overview of it, you try to version control it so that you really can jump back and forth. You can try to apply new ideas and go back if they don't work. So
Let me
you
ask you a
really
question about that
want to have
clarity
the
of
agility.
communication.
Yeah.
How do you think about the concept of taste as it relates to clarity of communication and curiosity? It seems to me that taste is something that has some overlap here that is perhaps a central element of what makes a good Renaissance engineer.
Well, taste is the judgment we have developed through putting in lots of iterations. Taste is something the master applies. That's why in the Renaissance, the painters, there were big painter shops in the Renaissance. The painter masters employed their pupils to paint like big paintings for rich guys or for the Pope or whatever. But the masters, they finished it. They put the finishing touches on it. They put in the right sfumato so that the character would be more realistic. They put in the right colors, and they
I
would
didn't know that.
like the last pieces of the thing so that it's a mastery work. So this is what a taste is. You earned the position through iterating a lot on different kinds of projects, and you iterated with different solutions and you tried out a lot so that you got the scar tissue to prove that you have taste.
And
And with
another
that,
element of that analogy that I'm guessing is true is it's probably the master that before the apprentice began said, "Hey, I want you to paint something that has this type of composition." So it's probably that the vision came from the taste of the master. The apprentice did the middle to middle part, and then the end, the finishing, took the taste of the master, which is actually quite a good analogy to these technologies today. The taste comes
yes,
forth at the vision, and then at the refinements at the end to bring it from 90% to 100%.
That's probably very accurate and applies to the world of business today as well, because now you can build anything. It becomes more important that it's relevant what you build. The why you build it needs to be valid and based in reality, that it will help your business. So it needs to apply to the business value as well as to the strength of the people you have and want to leverage. So you really need to bring that together to look at what kind of value does it bring to the customer, and how does it serve our goal of thriving as a company and giving value to society, and also improving our products and services, so that in the end, the paying customer receives the benefits of our inspirations, of our creativity, as well as we, because we build systems which help us leverage this even more and leverage our strengths even more. So combine the values of the people you have and your business and your core values and vision with the business side of it, that really drives profits, that it drives leads, that it improves conversion rate and improves the quality of your product, and then build it out. So judgment becomes more and more important, not even from the individual contributors, but also from the entrepreneur. That's why ownership of it really helps, because you have the intuition about it. Oh, is it a waste of time to build this feature to
Yeah,
change colors,
that's right.
or is it really valuable? And the business owner really knows, okay, nobody else ever for it. So this is probably a waste of time.
And this is how you actually can get better at the skill, is deploying this in the real world, because you actually will get real feedback if you deploy stuff in the real world. If you want to make an application that there's no customer, there's no buyer, it's not going to get deployed, it's going to look like it's 100% built out and this is a good thing that you built, but you won't know the 20% of it that's totally broken because it's not deployed in the real world. Once it's deployed in the real world, you find out the edge cases where this thing breaks. You find out that, oh, from here to here, it's not picking this up. What's going on? What's broken in my system? How did I make the architecture worse than I actually should have designed it? What is the blind spot that my system has that wouldn't have gotten revealed unless it was deployed 100 times and I saw the 5 times that it actually broke? This is how we can truly improve the skill set, not to where it's just, oh, I made something that looks like it would be a good application, but actually creating something that's useful, robust, practical. And you can't get that learning to go from is an 80% good under, but it's a hollow shell and not actually a functional prototype, to, oh, this is a system that's valuable in the real world. To get
Mm,
that taste, to go from that middle to that last end, that's where you have to actually do real stuff, deploy real stuff, put it out there, get it into some daylight, see where it fails, see where it breaks, and then fix where it breaks. And
mm,
I'll say from my own experience, my temptation with some of these systems, it's so easy to whip up to have a vision, and then to whip up the first 80% of these things is so fun, so addicting, such a cool, exciting thing. Like, "Oh, I had this vision. I want to see this. I see this. I wanna connect this. I want it to be like this. I want it to feel this way. I want it to have this kind of a look. I'll host it. Okay, I'll whip it up. Oh, this is a great front end. I made this page. I have the waterfall flow planned out. Oh, it flows from here to here. The calculations are good, blah, blah, blah." The part where I struggle is the last 10% of testing, refining, finding the edge cases where it breaks, redoing it. This is where my attention span wants to go on to the next thing and build the next thing and build the next thing and come up with a cool vision and go from zero to this cool vision like that and do it in a day and all this fun shit of building. What I'm finding that I need to force myself to, maybe force myself is not the right way to think about it, but where I need to put a lot of intentionality
mm.
is seeing things through to the very end before I
Yeah.
start new stuff. Because I have a couple of systems that I built really well that are 95% good right now. And my temptation that I see in my brain is, okay, it's 95%. Like, I don't, the 5% is unglamorous, it's unsexy, it's tedious. Sometimes it doesn't work and it's frustrating and this and that. The ability to close the last 5% gap and see it all the way through, make it all the way good, deploy it in a way that actually works, do the nitty gritty data testing, do the manual math on my end to make sure the calculations are right, do the little revisions, test all these auxiliary features and give the revisions to this. This is the part that I'm tempted to gloss over and not finish what I started. And I can sense that this is a part where this is a muscle I need to train in myself, in fact, to see these things all the way through and not to get shiny object syndrome and starting new stuff, because the last mile is actually where a lot of the value is in these
Mhm.
projects. If you don't see it all the way through, you're not going to realize the potential of these things. Even though it seems like a small amount of the scope, that's the part that completes the circle a lot of times. From your
Yes.
software engineering experience, is that like does that resonate with you? I'm out of my depth, but I'm sensing that this is my core pitfall as it relates to systems engineering.
It is a rule you can apply to. It's about old principles and combining it with new technologies. And for developing systems, it is the first 90% are the easiest. But
Yeah,
the last 90%, they take probably the same amount of time, like the first 90%.
last
Like the
10%.
last 10% take the
I'm
same
calling
amount
you
of.
out. There's not
Yeah, thanks, man.
180%.
I love it. So it's really about the craft and the end-to-end mindset, applying it to how does it relate to bringing value to customer, system, and organization, and how does it make your life easier? How does it increase transparency? How can you gain better insights from it? And how can you use these insights to adapt your approach? And you're totally correct in calling it out. It's it's the craft. It's still craftsmanship, but the application has moved a little bit. It's about the functionality. How well does it work? How smooth can it go? How beautiful does it look? And there's these principles from a Roman architect from maybe 2,300 years ago, or something around the lines of that, where he states good architecture, and these are principles which are timeless. Good architecture has three main components. It is beauty, it is robustness, and is usefulness. If it's not useful and just beautiful and robust, nobody cares because nobody will use it. If it's just beautiful but not useful, not robust, yeah, same. But you have to make it beautiful in order to make it for the people who should use it. You have to make it robust so that people can rely on it. And it has to be useful so that people will come back and use it. So it's still about old principles
The
applied to,
robustness seems to be the hard part.
yeah, yeah. Robustness is the hard part, but you got intelligence in the cloud. You got intelligence on top. You have geniuses in data centers which can help you with applying judgment how to make your system more robust. And then you can ask them, okay, before you push the commit to GitHub or wherever you have your version control system, ask the AI, okay, what could we refactor? What could we improve? What could we restructure so that it ties into the systems we already have better? And with that, it's about technology, the unseen part of technology. It's about design. And good design is, in technology at least, is when the technology disappears from the user. And we are coming into that age right now, in the age of personalized software and the age of improved design, where nobody has to know the language that computers speak, because now computers can translate our language into computer language if we have the clarity of communication, if we improve our skills in communicating clarity, if we improve our skills in applying systems which help alongside our journey to realizing our visions we have. Peyton, thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you, my friend. Great conversation. I will talk to you on the next one.
Talk to you soon.